So we go right ahead. So yeah, I think the introduction was quite clear. I'm a wannabe Kievian. I moved to Kiev 4 years ago after I lived in New York for, I think, 8 years. Because I felt excited about all this opportunities and space and this wild garden here in Ukraine where so much has to be done and can be done. Originally, I'm a filmmaker. I just directed my first long movie, but let's say, as older as I get, as more I realized that only filmmaking is not, it's one part of what makes me happy. I also like to create spaces, and I also like to create, let's say, stories which are physically present, not just on the screen. This, first, because I want to introduce you to 2 crowdfunding projects. One is for a short film I did, and one is for a house we built. So, crowdfund with and for the crowd. I believe that crowdfunding is one of the best ways to kickstart your business, your idea. May it be a film, may it be a software company, or may it be a hotel business. Because crowdfunding is already testing your product, if you allow me to call a film a product. It already helps you to test what you're going to do, and it already helps you to create an audience, to create customers, to create fans for what you want to do. I want to give you a little example why I think crowdfunding and the idea of crowdfunding is something I want to promote in Ukraine, something I want to encourage and inspire young entrepreneurs or cultural people who work in the cultural field and want to create something to look at and to see this as an option to bring their project off the floor. A few years ago, a friend of mine, Sasha Kaniewski, created with a colleague a clothing label called Übernormal. I don't know, maybe some of you know it. It's a very simple clothing label, a little bit like American Apparel, like kind of a simple sportswear, comfortable, affordable, stylish, but made in Ukraine, and it was super successful. After 4 weeks, the whole collection was sold out, and people from China were ordering it in Kiev because they thought it's so cool and so great. So I went to Sasha and said, Sasha, this is fantastic. You did it. You created a brand. And he said, yeah, Mark, but I'm going to close tomorrow. And I said, why? You sold out your first collection. Yeah, but now to really produce, to go into the next step, I need an investor. And investors are dangerous in Ukraine. You shouldn't work with investors. And bank loans like 15 to 20% interest rate. I cannot continue with Übernormal. And it made me incredibly sad. How ironic, There's finally a business which works, and because there is Sasha is not trusting investors, and banks are not giving loans to realistic conditions, this cool young business where I thought they will conquer the world died before it was really born. So Sasha was hired by Kanye West right after that, and he's now one of the creative directors for Kanye West in Los Angeles, which is, whatever you will think about Kanye West. I'm personally not a fan of Kanye West's political way of thinking, but I'm really somehow proud of Sasha. I think it's amazing what he achieved now, but I wish it wouldn't be Kanye West which was believing in Sasha, but Ukraine and Ukrainian investors and Ukrainian equity. But it didn't happen. So, you know how it is with the bank. I had it a few weeks ago. I tried it the first time for myself. I tried to get a credit of $80,000 for a project, which I crowdfunded later. But I thought, let's give it a try. Let's see how it is, right? I had a meeting with a bank. A friend of mine was working in the management of this bank, and I presented my project, my business plan for a eco cottage, for a little house at the Dnipro River, and the bankers, there was a lawyer, there was different 8 serious-looking people, and after the presentation, they said, "Wow, fantastic, Mark! This was the best business presentation we ever had. Sounds really good. Yeah, we're going to send you an offer for your loan next week. I was excited, right? They said they liked it, so I guess they will give me a good conditions. So the conditions they gave me was, I will now say it not in percentage, but I wanted a loan for 10 years. I wanted $80,000, and I wanted to pay it back for 10 years, in 10 years. So I would need to pay $90,000 to get $80,000. So I would spend, what is it, $170,000. So this is absolutely, it's killing every possibility. I mean, you all know it, I guess, but for me, it was quite a moment to realize it on my own project, not just reading about it. So this project, I started to do a crowdfunding campaign. I will talk about it a little bit later, but it is a good example for how important crowdfunding, what a great option this could be. Because if you think about it, you have a great idea, and now you can convince investors. I don't agree with Sasha Kanievsky. I do think there's a new generation of great investors in Ukraine, investors who are fair and honest, investors you can trust, investors who are supportive, but you let go of you have to give them some percentages of your business. But if you are doing crowdfunding for your project, you keep your business. So you're not losing any percentages. So you're keeping your business, and at the same time you can already sell your product and explore your audience. This is why, as I already said, I think such an amazing tool. So my first experience I had with crowdfunding was for my short film Bon Voyage. Bon Voyage is a 25-minute short film, a drama, a refugee drama. It takes place on the Mediterranean Sea. And I worked with the biggest crowdfunding and the most famous crowdfunding platform, Kickstarter. So this is a US-based, I think they're in New York, crowdfunding platform, and we raised, I don't really remember exactly, but around, I think, $60,000 for this film. The film was in the end $250,000, but first we raised this $60,000 through crowdfunding. And because I had already 60, the Ministry of Culture of Switzerland, the Zurich Film Foundations, more and more institutions also started to believe in the project because already a crowd funded this project. Because I feel we are a little bit short in time, I don't want to go too much into details of this project. I wanted to show you the crowdfunding video I created and also share my experience, my thoughts, my tips and tricks about crowdfunding with you. But I think there's not enough time to do that right now. So you can, if you are interested, we can talk later directly or maybe during the Q&A. This project, then Bon Voyage, we shot it and we were shortlisted for an Academy Award. The film was sold in many different countries. This was our first award we won at the Short Fest in Palm Springs. So the crowd funded a film which really was then seen by many people all around the world. So the last crowdfunding project I did was the River Bird's Nest. A quick word about the River Bird's Nest. I live in Kiev since 4 years, and every time I want to go to the countryside to feel nature, to hear the birds, and I'm looking for a little house to rent, I cannot find anything. All the cottages, the huts which are available are surrounded by fences, cameras, or they're built in a very weird way with small little windows. There was no. I feel that of course there's some 2 or 3 nice cottages in Ukraine, but Ukraine is second largest country in Europe. So I was really surprised that there's this amazing nature and no place for no beautiful design house. So we found a beautiful piece of land, 60 kilometers south of Kiev. And the land was quite expensive, but I found a partner who was investing with me, and we bought this land together. And then together on crowdfunding, we raised 28,000 euros to build this house. a house fully built out of wood on poles, because we wanted this house not to kind of force itself into nature, but to be kind of like a friend to nature. And the crowd, I don't know how familiar you are with crowdfunding, but you have of course two ways. You can use crowdfunding to give out, like just give out thank yous or little presents, or you already sell the product. And this, in our case, we were offering nights. You could already book a night, you could book a week, you could book a weekend, you could book New Year's evening in there for a discount. And through that, we financed 28,000, and we built the house. So this is how the house looked like just a week ago. And people were actually also driving there, looking at it, crowdfunders, and there were 140 people connecting to this house before we even, put windows in there. So we had like clients, guests who were spreading the word. Suddenly we had an Instagram account with 500 followers of a hut which doesn't even really have a kitchen yet. And it convinced me so much that crowdfunding is the perfect tool to kick off an unusual, fresh project. So this is the view from the house. But then, to be very honest with you, then 6 days ago it looked like this. It was set on fire. It was burned down. We don't really know who it was. We have some suspicion that it was somebody who doesn't like the activism of Philip and me, my partner. But this is a side story here. I don't want to talk too much about it, but to give you the whole story of this. No, actually, this is not even the end, because now people were. I thought that the crowdfunders will maybe write me like, Mark, sorry, now the house is burned down and this is sad, but I booked for 180 euros a weekend next summer. What's happening? Can you maybe send me the money back? But the people did the opposite. People wrote me, Mark, which bank account number do we have to send the money to rebuild the house? And it was one more, argument that the crowdfunding is connecting your audience in such a wonderful way that nobody was kind of pessimistic and felt this project died. Quite the opposite. Now we're starting a second crowdfunding for this project. We call it the Phoenix Fund, to rebuild this house, and it will be ready to move in next spring. Yes, this is the last image of my presentation. A shot from a table where many people sit together and enjoy a meal. Because in my worldview, the coming together and to join and support each other, it's not just some kind of a hippy-dippy, sweet way of thinking. I believe it's also a very effective way of thinking. I think we, especially in Ukraine, I find it incredibly important that we join together, that we meet together, that we support each other's projects, support each other's business ideas, crowdfund each other, consult each other, and come together and be successful together.